And welcome once again, everybody. My name is Jason Davis, and this is Common Sense, and we are coming to you hidden somewhere in an undisclosed location in an iron bunker deep in the highlands of West Volusia County, and we are guarded by 2 rabid Pomeranians and 1 crazy cat, and the crazy cat's kind of sleeping in a box today. He's just laying there, sitting there looking at me. So, so here's we are, folks. And what we're doing now is I'm going to continue on with our discussion that we had about the county charter. And the county charter, last time we talked about the county manager, and what all he could do, and we found out that basically he has power supreme as far as the agenda and what happens in Volusia County government. He tells everybody what they're going to do, and he tells all the employees, of course, and then he only gives information to the county council that he wants to give them so they will pass whatever issues he's trying to get passed. So we now know that, and that is by the charter. And we also explained that the county charter was enacted here by the Volusia County residents in hopes of getting rid of some corruption that was happening right in front of everybody. And just like the Sunshine Law, we're going to, try to get rid of corruption, except the only thing is they just pushed it farther back into the shadows. So what good is the county charter then? What good is it? Well, it can and it does limit the amount of salary that is paid to county council members. It does. See, according to the Florida State Constitution, a county council member here is supposed to make about $110,000. That's just because of population and size of our county. But actually, they make about $50,000 a year, which is, by the way, not too darn bad, except for the fact that all county council members, they have to pay for all their expenses, their fuel costs, their car costs, their dry cleaning, everything. They don't get to write anything off, except for maybe at the end of the year, and even then it's only a mileage issue on their cars. So basically, in 4 years, I put over 130,000 miles on my car because I did my job. And I can guarantee you that the current council members are not. So it can create different boards and committees, which it does. We've got Echo boards, and we got Volusia Forever boards, and all these lovely, foofy, feel-good boards. That's what we've got. It also creates the TPO, the Transportation Authority. It puts some, our council members there as appointed by the county chair. So that's what it does there. It says what responsibilities of the councilmen and councilwomen are. But most of all, it really does give the manager power supreme. And in the case of Volusia County, he gets really an outlandish paycheck, yes. And we discussed that. So it basically gives the county leadership the authority to do as it sees fit, regardless of what state statutes are saying. That's what our county charter does. We don't have to follow the state constitution. We can make our own rules, our own laws. We can do whatever we want, ordinance-wise. It gives a county a lot more freedom to do what they want to do. But it also hinders them from other issues. So basically, county council members are just the voting figureheads. The manager runs the show by hiring and firing staff and making all the administrative decisions for this county. The county only hears issues and votes on issues that the county manager wants to be heard on the public, and only issues he knows will pass. So now we're caught up. So now, as you can just hear the eyebrows raising. So allow me to bring to you the county charter. Let's see. We're going to go back down here to the county charter, and here's where we are. In the 300 section of the county charter, it gives the powers of the county council and the elected officials. This is section 307, and it gives, and here, and I will now quote, "The council shall have all jurisdictions and powers which are now and which hereafter may be granted to it by the Constitution and laws of Florida, providing that such powers shall be exercised in a manner consistent with the charter." There's your key word. The charter runs the show. That's the one that's the piece of paper that tells the county council members what they can do. The council, in addition to the powers and duties provided in this charter, shall have the specific powers and duties to do the following: appoint by 2/3 vote of the full council and remove by a majority vote of the full council the county manager. So the county manager answers to the county council. He works at their pleasure. That's what that is called. They can vote to remove him or vote to put a new one in, which we just went through very recently. Adopt such ordinances as may be necessary to carry out both county and municipal powers and purposes. So no littering on the street, we'll pass that law. Boom. There it is. They review the budgetary requests, including salaries, and make the final budgetary determinations and appropriations for all county governmental operations, including, but not limited to, the county management, all administrative departments of the government, the judicial system, the adjustment boards, and special authorities and tax districts which request a portion of the millage levied for county purposes under the Constitution of Florida, or such other millage as may be levied by the county for municipal service districts, excepting the school system. In other words, the school system, they make their own budget, they give it to the county, we accept it, we move on. Now here's where the rub is. Amendment 10, which passed last year. Amendment 10 gives the sheriff, the Department of Elections, and the clerk of the courts full autonomy, shall we say, on their budgets. Here's my budget. Make it work. This could bankrupt Volusia County if everybody decided, we want more money, and just say, we're going to take more money. Now, that's up to the county manager to go and discuss the matters with the sheriff and the clerk of the courts and the director of the Department of Elections and say, you don't need that money. Can we really cut this back and work with them? Now, the previous county manager would have just said, no, I'm not doing that. Move on. But the law says, now you have to do this. Also, it says in there, special authorities and taxing districts. These are the world-famous CRAs, the Community Redevelopment Authority. They're their own taxing authority, just like the hospitals. We have 3 hospital authorities here. They can just say, we're going to up our millage rate regardless of what you want. And when it comes to a CRA, everything over the current cost of when that CRA was enacted is a taxable amount that goes to that CRA. The county doesn't get to keep any of it. So that's how that works. And I can get more into that later on. So, but as you say, we just review the budgetary requests. Not a single budget has ever failed here in Volusia County that I know of. It may have gotten 1, maybe 2 no votes, but they've all passed because that's what the county manager wanted. The county council can adopt, amend, and repeal an administrative code by 2/3 or 2/3 vote of the full council. In other words, everybody's got to be there to vote for it, and we can say we're going to repeal or amend administrative codes, which has not happened that I've ever seen. In addition to the state audit provided by law, they shall cause an annual independent post-audit by a certified public accountant of any and all governmental operations of the charter government. In other words, we call the same people every year and say, audit our paperwork, and they do every year, and here's what we get. I find no anomalies and no problems. That's what we get. That's what they're paid to do. That's what they're paid to say. So, think that one through for a minute. They shall adopt and amend a merit system which shall include a salary schedule for all personnel in accordance with the provisions of this charter. In other words, if you've been doing good in your job and everybody else is getting a 2 or 3% raise, they could say you get a 5% raise because you're really, really good at what you do. So that's the merit system. They adopt by 2/3 vote of the full council such rules of parliament to accept rules of parliamentary procedures as shall be necessary for the orderly transaction of the business of the council. They do it every year. They say, we'll follow Robert's Rules of Order. Okay, moving on. The council shall designate which officers' employees shall be bonded and shall fix the amount and approve the form of the bond. They do that. when it comes to the council, because the county manager says we need to do this. This is what it needs to be. This is the level it has to be. This is how much the bond is. Please approve this. And they do. They shall appoint by 2/3 vote of the full council and remove by a majority vote of the county council the county attorney. So now you know the county attorney works at the pleasure of the county council. That's their duties. That's all they get to do. That's it. They don't hire or fire anybody. If you remember last one, we talked about the non-interference by county council. You cannot interfere with any duties of anyone in the county government. You can't walk in and say you're fired because you're not doing your job. You can't do that. Nope. That's all they can do, and that's on the county council in the sunshine at a meeting. That's where all of these things have to take place. Now, here we go, the fun part. The county chair, 307.1 section. The county chair, the office of the county chair shall have full jurisdiction and powers which are now and which hereafter may be granted to it by the Constitution and laws of the state of Florida, provided that such powers shall be exercised in a manner consistent with this charter. In other words, the state laws are moot because you're governed by the charter. And you can only do what the charter has said you can do already. You can't hire or fire anybody. You 2/3 vote for the county manager, or a majority to remove the manager or the county attorney. You don't have power supreme. You don't make budgets. You don't do that. You don't approve the budget. You just listen to it. And then everybody has to approve it. Now, the county chair will serve as the official and ceremonial representative of the government. Yeah, he goes and cuts ribbons and is at the racetrack and says, "Welcome to Volusia County." He'll issue proclamations on behalf of the government, which shall be reported to the county council upon issuance. In other words, today's proclamation is Happy Birdwatcher Day. And he does that. He presides as the chair of, and in all other respects participate in the meetings of the county council. In other words, he leads the meeting. He'll execute ordinances, resolutions, and other authorized documents of the government. Yeah, he doesn't, because there's that non-interference. So he cannot execute an ordinance. He just says, this is the law, follow it. Resolutions, now if you really think about it, they have no meaning. They have no authority. It's not a law. It's just a resolution. We resolve to support this issue. That's all. He will serve as ex officio as the county government's representative and appoint others to serve in the county chair's stead on other bodies external to the county council. In other words, the county chair, he sits on the advertising authority board in the Halifax Advertising Authority Board, but he can appoint somebody else. He can sit on the library board, or he can appoint somebody else. He can sit on the United Way board, or appoint somebody else. Or there are roughly 15 to 20 different boards that the county chair could sit on, but he assigns them to other people so that they can sit there and report back. The rail board, the Sunrail board, he sits on that. Or he can appoint somebody else. He serves as a county council representative and appoint county council members to serve in the county's chair stead on other bodies internal to the county government. There's other issues that we have, and that's what the county chair does. That's it. He's the only one that has all these responsibilities, which are really just driving around the county, spending a lot of money on his own and getting his dry cleaning done. I was in a suit and tie pretty much 7 days a week. And then in Christmas time, of course, you got to go to all these parties and all this other craziness. Any opening of these special events, you're there. Anytime a county or a state representative or somebody comes to the state or the county, you're supposed to be there to greet him, just like the governor would greet the president when he comes to Florida. That's where we go. So, why do we bring these things up today? Well, because it's time for the truth. Yes, the truth is coming up here today. That's what we've got.
You can't handle the truth.
And apparently they can't, because here we go. And this, I'm going to give this to Mr. Barker, barkersview.org. On the 14th of July, he wrote this year, he wrote an article on Volusia, an issue of trust. Who trusts this county? Let me just say this. When I was the county council chair, yes, as you recall, I was, and I would go out, if I went outside in my pajamas to feed my horses, somebody was there saying how I was doing something, I was indecently exposing myself. I mean, literally. Anytime I said something, they were there. The news media hated me. Actually, they loved to pick on me. But that's okay. I was not a politician. I was in politics for 4 years. Believe me, I've had enough. So regardless of the question, and I'm going to read a little bit here from Mr. Barker's view, regardless of the question, when we, the people, use our sacred vote to choose how we wish to be governed, oppose entrenched power structures, or express our shared disapproval of dubious measures that enrich the few at the expense of the many, using money, of course, we are invariably second-guessed and formally challenged by those we have elected and appointed to represent our interests. This goes to Amendment 10. And Amendment 10 says that the Sheriff's Department, the Board of Elections Director, and the Clerk of the Courts are all constitutional officers no longer governed by the Charter. This went resoundingly across the state. 70% of the people said, yes, we want that. A majority of them, a lot of them here in Florida wanted that because, to be honest with you, they're tired of the structure that we have here with the Charter. And they're fighting it. And it's a ridiculous thing is the electoral system creating a representative democracy, which is what we have, said that that's what we want. And also, Amendment 10 creates a department of the tax collector. It doesn't transfer power. We have a director of the tax collector, or that's what he's just called, the tax collector. So instead of writing a check for your annual tags or mortgages or your taxes on your property or anything, instead of writing it to Volusia County, the government of Volusia County, it'll be written to whomever tax collector, and he puts it in an account. And he is now the guardian of the funds. The guardian of the funds. And he also takes charge of the investment account. The investment account that Volusia County has been taking all this extra money that they've had, that they haven't had to spend for years and years and years, because they've been overtaxing the hell out of us. They've been putting it into this investment account and investing in stocks and bonds and all this other things that make them money. And they've got over $500 million in this investment account. But according to the new Amendment 10, that means that the tax collector will now take charge of this. This is why they're upset and they're fighting Amendment 10. This is why. And another reason is because they want to put up a new sales tax. Well, I do believe part of Amendment 10, if I recall, it might be a different amendment. But it says if you want to increase sales tax or gas tax, you have to have a full state audit of your funds. And and the state gets to say, yes, you need the money, so therefore you can raise taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, as much as a lot of people really, really don't want to hear it, that is actually the real truth why they're fighting against Amendment 10.
You can't handle the truth.
And they can't. And they're mad. They're going to now lose control of the funds. So that's why they're fighting. And that's why they're trying to tell everybody, no, we're going to fight this till the ends of time. And also the other thing is, when you take all those other appointments out, those other elected supervisors, the sheriff, Department of Elections, and the department and the clerk of the courts, you've basically removed almost half of the charter. And the charter now is almost a moot point. It just governs the county manager, the county attorney, and the county council. And so with common sense, when you destroy half of your charter, I guess you should go ahead and make yourself, maybe a constitutional government, and give the power back to the people and take it away from a strong county manager's form of government and give it back to the people, because we elect those officials and we can unelect them if we want to. That is common sense.